I do not see any practical distinction between the absolute immunity for crimes committed by a president relating to the exercise of presidential powers under Article 2 of the Constitution, or arguably related, and the quote, at least presumptively, quote, immune, that is more for more peripheral or outer perimeter, quote, official acts, unquote, when there's a substantial and important limitation on the kind of evidence that can be used to rebut the presumption of immunity. In effect, the Supreme Court, the 6 Republicans on the Supreme Court, have created an absolute immunity for crimes committed by a president and has consequently enabled and incentivized the commission of crimes by a president. This would be particularly true for a president who decides to engage in unlawful acts, to remain in power, and to subvert the democratic process. The Republican justices have given the nation the most fundamentally anti-democracy decision in the nation's history. In effect, the president, who has the constitutional duty to ensure that laws are faithfully executed, a duty contained in the Constitution in Article 2, Section 3, can violate those laws with impunity. I doubt that a situation now could even arise where the Justice Department would even bother to bring the matter before the court to test whether the action was part of an official act or a private act. It is just obscene what they've done. The Republican justices claim that the president is not above the law. Roberts made that statement in his decision, and then proceed to create a get-out-of-jail-free card for presidents to violate the law. This is nonsensical blather by the Chief Justice and plays at best only lip service to the concept while actively undermining it. The same is true on how Republican justices now treat the legal doctrine of stare decisis, which has been undermined by them, almost rendered totally meaningless whenever they do not like a long, well-settled decision of the Supreme Court in the past. And this is sending, and will send, and it will only get worse, the constitutional law principles on a path unmoored from prior decisions and history, and will create and continue to create even uncertainty and more chaos and a growing disrespect for the court, which is well deserved now, whose justices will be viewed as ideologues and partisans, even religious zealots who wear robes. While Justice Roberts would characterize the statement I'm about to make as hyperbole, it is nonetheless true in my opinion. The 6 Republican justices will be complicit and accessories to crimes committed by future presidents through the creation of this absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for all practical purposes. I view the immunity decision as grounds for impeachment by the House and conviction in the Senate of all 6 Republican justices. As a practical matter, the urgency to do so will not occur until a president in the future commits crimes, and there are 67 votes in the Senate to convict. Now, the Republican senators will never vote in sufficient numbers to convict Trump, no matter how many crimes he commits, and no matter how strong the evidentiary support is for each crime, which is how they are now ignoring the obstruction of justice charge in the documents case that's pending before the Trump-appointed judge who will never allow the case to be tried before the election. Republicans may be willing to agree with the conclusion that I just summarized, When and if a far-left populist politician becomes president and commits crimes, as Trump will most likely do if reelected, Republicans will not even look at the evidence that supports the criminal charges that have been made against Trump, and will certainly be unable to separate their devotion to their dear leader when forming an opinion about those charges and the evidence supporting them. The unwillingness of Republicans to even view the evidence supporting the criminal charges made against Trump so far is not going to change no matter how many crimes he may commit in the future. And making matters worse, Trump will not hire anyone in his administration during the second term that will push back on his suggestions or plans to commit crimes. He has completely been unleashed by the 6 Supreme Court justices with no legal restraint or boundaries as a practical matter. The Supreme Court is on the ballot this November.